Hey everyone, it's Sam here. I hope you're staying well and safe, and welcome back to Scraping Through. Mike and I are very excited to bring you this episode where we've had the privilege to interview professional athlete, artist, and fashion designer Kervin Marc. We highly recommend you to check out the video podcast on YouTube as you'll be able to follow along certain part of the conversation where we look at Kervin's Marc collection. But you can always listen and check out his work at kervinmarc.com or search for Kervin Marc on Instagram. We hope you enjoy the show, and until next time, take care. Ciao! Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
It was really awesome to meet you. Spitalfield Market at your shop.
Cool.
Just wanted to maybe ask like the very first question: Who is Kervin Marc?
Right. Listen, it was really good to meet you as well, right? On the store. It's Spitalfields. Yeah. So who is Kervin Marc? Yeah. So Kervin Marc is me. That's my actual birth name. Some people think I've actually designed that name, but no. Born in St. Lucia. That's the name that was given to me, Kervin Marc. Basically it's Kevin with an R in it and Marc with a C. I'm not French. I suppose I speak French Creole because that's what they speak in St. Lucia where I'm born. So that's me. That's my name. But obviously, I created the brand Kervin Marc. Actually, after a number of years of going under a few other names, the first name I went under was OK Marc, right? Because I paint, I make paintings and I make artwork.
That's one of
there
them,
you
right?
go. Actually, yeah, and there's in the middle there. There's like the pitons, the two mountains of where I'm from. And actually, maybe I'm speaking to you. Maybe that's my head speaking to you anyway. You know. But yeah, so the one was OK Marc, which then I sign everything. All my paintings as OK Marc because you know when I sign it, it makes it okay,
Yeah.
and then it makes it all valuable. It's not valuable when I don't sign it, but it's really valuable when I sign it. It makes it okay, and I like to put that okay mark on loads of things. So I did that for a number of years. Then I had another label called Tag Free, which is freedom from tags, freedom from labels. But then when I did Tag Free by OK Marc.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So then I thought actually consolidate everything and just go under my name, which is Kervin Marc, which especially when I started doing clothing, I started using my own name, Kervin Marc, which is an umbrella. So it's basically everything I do. So that's who I am personally as Kervin Marc. And then there's also Kervin Marc, the brand. Yeah.
Fantastic. And
it's amazing to meet you. I'm self-isolating at the moment, so unfortunately I wouldn't be able to be with you even if I could. But it's great to be able to sit with you remotely anyway. I'm curious, like how long were you in St. Lucia for? What age were you when you came here?
Yeah, we're talking like early life, So I was in St. Lucia. I was born there, and I was there till I was 9 years old. Yeah. But it's obviously my formative years because I still hold on very, very dearly to all my memories from there. And then I've been living in London for well over 30 years. But I go back. When I go back, and I go back to St. Lucia as often as I can. Yeah.
And I think you're the first person that we're interviewing that has their own Wikipedia page. So that's amazing. I don't know if you've read it. Yeah.
Well, I have read it, and the thing about that Wikipedia page is what I suppose I haven't mentioned in the intro is that I used to be a professional sportsman. I was a professional cricketer, so I didn't create the Wikipedia page. So people create the Wikipedia page for you. Yeah. So
is it factual?
It's factual, yeah. Everything on there is fact, yeah. The only thing is, with Wikipedia, you can edit it, and I haven't edited it, so I haven't added anything about my, fashion and art, which I've been doing for the last 20 years, really. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a job that needs doing. Yeah.
I think we have touched a few points. Like we're talking about you as a designer, as an artist. You mentioned your cricketer. I think um, it's very fitting with that's what I was telling to Mike with the theme of our podcast. What really struck me is has been your journey, your path that you followed. Could you take us through some, I think, like some milestone that took you from being a cricketer, professional cricketer, to now, and how
Okay,
that happened?
right. I'll try and do it like as a brief synopsis of it.
Okay.
So I've always been sporty and arty. Yeah. At from at school, I've always drawn, and I've always been good at sport. From the time I was small, from the time, ever since I can remember. I got to England, did my schooling and whatnot. By the time I suppose I got to about 17 years old. Yeah, I got a contract playing cricket. Playing the cricket at Lords, which is the home cricket. Playing for the MCC. It was the MCC Young Cricketers, like an academy. So I played there. And then at that academy, then obviously then you play against all the major professional teams around the country. So in the hope of them signing you on, you may just give people who don't know about cricket and England and Lords, which is where I was playing. So Lords is the home of cricket, and it's a ground which houses the MCC, who own the ground, right? And I was an MCC young cricketer. And which is like an academy, and then Middlesex County Cricket Club, they are tenants of that ground, but they've been there for over 100 years, right? And they rent the ground from the MCC, okay? But it's also an England international home ground where England play as well. So there are three important teams that play there. So the MCC play there, Middlesex County Cricket Club play there, and England play. And when I say the MCC, it's Marylebone Cricket Club, yeah, MCC. Right. Okay. So those who know cricket know this story, but those who don't, I've just given you that little synopsis. So I played there, and then, but I was also when I was on the academy, I did a half time in the academy, but the other half of the time I was at Central St. Martin's Art College studying, because I was hedging my bets, because I'm good at both things. So I was studying, but I was also playing. And whilst just as I was about to finish my first year foundation year at St. Martin's, then I actually got offered a contract playing for Middlesex County Cricket Club, which is a professional contract. It's not an academy contract now. It's a proper contract, and I had a 2-year contract playing there. Right. So I finished my foundation year, played for Middlesex, played for 2 years, had a 2-year contract. But yeah, a brilliant first year. Second year, not so good, a bit injury prone. And they didn't renew my contract after 2 years. And then I went back to St. Martin's to do my degree, which I did in product design. Right. And I spent 3 years at St. Martin's. And whilst I was there, then I played for British University's cricket. I played minor counties cricket and high standard. I played against internationally. I played for the universities against India and so on. So I was playing good level of cricket, and but I was at probably one of the best art colleges in the world.
Was there a single moment where you switched your dedication from sport to art? So was there a trigger point for that, or was it a gradual?
So to bring up to speed, actually, what I didn't mention is that there was a period where I was doing both of them. So I was spending my summers in Australia and New Zealand, right? And so I did 2 summers in New Zealand and then 3 summers in Australia. So basically, English summer is Australian winter, and then when the summer finishes, then you go into Australian or New Zealand summer, right? Those who know that, of course. But so I would chase, and it's a summer game cricket, so I would play in England and then go, to play in Australia or New Zealand. But then I did that for 5 seasons. I did 5 Australian and New Zealand summers, culminating the last summer in Australia, and then I got to Australia, and I was just thinking, and I was also running my label in Melbourne. I lived in Melbourne. I was playing in Melbourne, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm not enjoying this. This is really taking too much time from my design work and my artwork, and I thought, wow, if I'm thinking that, and I just arrived on my final year going to Australia, and I just landed, and I was doing my warm-ups and stuff on the ground, and I was just thinking to myself, wow, this is taking up time from very exciting work that that I needed to do, and then it was going to be, and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be Paris Fashion Week soon, and I'll be playing out there. So this at that point, I'm thinking I'm not really focused on playing. Yeah. So yeah.
So that point
That's
is
super
that's
exciting.
what.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like, I suppose that's like the mid 2000s, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. So and today actually, shall we say where we are? This place is called Four Store.
It's called Four Store. Yes.
Right, yeah.
It's in Notting Hill, 189 Westbourne Grove in Notting Hill, London.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's where you have your collection.
Yeah. I have my collection. I share this store with Four Store, who are they sell terrariums, which are bonsais in jars. They have a store in Bethnal Green Road as well, and they're the main agent for terrariums, and they stock in Heels or in the Conran store. They do very well. Yeah.
I noticed like a lot of your designs, they're themed around military. I'm wondering like where that design theme comes from, and if it's something that like how that resonates with you.
Right. Yeah. So, so I'm very interested in obviously military. When I was at art college many years ago, I would go into college wearing military kit. I mean, I wasn't super rich, like a lot of the students who are at art college now. I mean, it's not a crime to be rich, but I came from a very, a normal background. I used to wear military gear because it looked great and it wasn't very expensive. Yeah, as a student going into St. Martin's, but then I was really heavily influenced by, sort of punk movement and people like Vivienne Westwood and and a little bit of mod, aesthetic. So that was the organized understanding of sort of fashion and military. But then because of my art, I like to actually paint on military as well. And so I've been doing that for a while, just very DIY, just putting things together myself. And I don't really like, armies, and I don't like violence. I'm a very peaceful person. But the garments, I like repurposing them and changing their function and making it interesting. So, and I always say to people, I love selling them people uniforms so that they can be different.
They look amazing. I love these.
Cool. And I created this other Instagram or the other brand called Tag Free Militaire, which where I house some of the imagery of the military, reworked military garments. Yeah.
So we're just looking at some of Kervin's work, and of course, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you will find the episode so you can have a look, or kervinmarc.com, of course. But what I would like to ask is, I always joke with Mike. I always say that he lacks a bit of sense of fashion, I think. Main drivers like plain t-shirt, and I always joke about that. He is a quite tall guy. I was wondering, is there something you would like, recommend for Mike that you want to show and maybe talk about?
For Mike, so if he likes, do you like that sort of military type aesthetic? Do you?
I like what I've seen on your website. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. Okay,
I like
so
the jacket.
The army jacket, yeah.
Yeah.
Work on my, because the thing is, a lot of my I suppose customers, or
This one a lot.
yeah. So I can go a little bit avant-garde. I mean, I'm wearing a kimono, you know, maybe with like military details and so on, right? But that might not be for everybody, okay? And I'm wearing, you know, this garment which I've made from military kit bags and so on. So, you know, so that's you know, that's me. I'm wearing that, and I have a lot of people who will do what I'm doing. But I also can do like what just looks like just a normal, just a little jacket. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Combined, like, you know, a few little military details in there, and then, you know, and you know, there's a few more details at the back like that as well. And you know, it's just a straightforward jacket. Actually, I'll try it on. I'll show it to you, perhaps on. Yeah, I'll show it. So it's very simple, but it's not too commercial or anything like that. You know, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, that's coming through really clear. That's amazing.
You know,
I love the detail on the back.
Something like that. You know, that's quite easy. You know, you've got like pockets there. You know, you've got the little pockets down here as well. You know, so it's just super simple. You know, jacket. You can just wear that. You know.
Yeah. And I think with that, Mike, we also have, you know, your backpack.
Backpack,
That
right.
we're looking at.
So let me just see if this is it. So actually, I will get you another one, right? Which then will show you all the details of it. Right, 1 second.
No worries.
Yeah.
Really excited,
Yeah.
As soon as I'm out of self-isolation, I think I need to make a shopping trip.
No, cool, man.
100%.
Yeah, let me just. So
You're gonna undad me. You're gonna change me from dad wear into some very fashionable wear, for sure.
Absolutely.
So you've got say this bag, right? So you can wear that, you know, like that. Portrait, landscape, right?
Nice.
Or you can wear it just as a backpack, just like that. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
And then, but then that's it. Like quite simple, like that. With, you know, but then if you turn it around like that, then what I've done with this one is I've actually then patchworked up pieces of leather. Yeah. And then you've got like a zip detail there, a zip pocket in there, which you can get into like that. And but this bag can also then fold. You move clips down to here, like this. And then the bag becomes a smaller, you know, bag like that. Or you just move this to here, and then it becomes a smaller backpack.
There you go.
Super versatile. That's incredible.
Yeah. You can wear that a few different ways, and then you can probably just wear this also
With a longer strap.
with a longer strap.
Yeah.
Longer strap, because you get all 3 straps with this. And you can wear that across the body.
There you go.
Like that. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And you know, some of the reasons why, you know, my work is sort of so multifunctional is because, you know, I studied industrial product design, and it's about form following function. Yeah. So there you go.
I think that's well, thank you so much. I think this would look really good on Mike.
Yeah.
And
Stay tuned for future podcasts, because I'll be wearing different clothes for sure.
No, it's cool, man. You know, and you know, I'm not like I'm not a fascist fashion person. You know, it's like whatever you're comfortable in, I do what I do, and then some people just do what I do as well. I never look at people and say, oh my God, look how that person looks or that person looks. Everybody's got their own style. If they join in with what I do, then great. If not, people are individuals. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I like that. So it's not by force, but I obviously enjoy when people like what I do and when they wear what I make.
Do you do commissions and tailoring? Like
I
I'm
do
not
actually.
the rack shape. I have stupidly long arms, very skinny. Like
Well, the thing is, I myself, I'm 6'5". Yeah. So and I
feel
have
my
put on
pain.
loads of weight. Over the years, I'm still relatively, maybe just a little bit heavier than I was when I was playing. So I make a lot of things which would work on me. Yeah. So if you're built like that, then it'll work on you. But the trick is, um, almost everything I do will look good on, like, say, tall people. But if you're a bit shorter, that's my skill as a designer, and that's my training, that I need to work it that it can work on you as well. So if it's not working, lengthwise, or size wise, then I do commissions, and I do bespoke work, and sometimes I have conversations like this because where I find out what somebody's a rough idea of what they want, and then I just kind of realize their dream in a way. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I need something which hides the tummy. Like that's my key concern now.
No, I got you on that, man. I got you on that. Don't worry. It's expensive to get those tummies, man. So
Absolutely.
I'll look after you, man. Yeah.
Maybe that means I need to show it off. I need something that accentuates the investment that I put in.
Well, if it makes you happy, man, that's cool. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You mentioned like Paris Fashion Week and other kind of fashion shows. Do you participate in those regularly, or do you go to there?
Yeah, well, so I've not done like sort of major runway shows, and actually, in a way, I'm still an emerging designer because I'm not recorded at Paris Fashion Week or London Fashion Week. But what I have done is I've had there's other routes of doing this business where you have representation and you have like a showroom who represent you and then sell you out to stores, wholesale you out to stores. I've had that before. I've had agents in Milan and in London do that before. So that's the business end of fashion, which is not always seen, and that's what goes on a lot of the time in Paris during Paris Fashion Week or London Fashion Week or Milan or New York, right? But then there's the runway side, which is obviously the advertising of your line. I haven't done that like officially yet. That let's watch the space, I suppose. And then I suppose I'm launched on sort of overground in a way. Yeah. But right now, I suppose I'm pretty underground, and I have the people who follow what I do. And when I do go to Paris now, I have done in the past like small, appointments for a few stores, like some very, very nice stores, very conceptual stores around the world, who buy some of my collection. And so I'm currently at a few stores around the world, and there's that. But then I also like to keep up to date with. I just like to be relevant and to know where I am at in comparison to everybody else in the business.
Do they train you for the business side of fashion at college, or is it purely design work there? And how do you get up to?
But you got to bear in mind, I didn't study fashion. I studied product design, and so at college, so designing products, you need to know how to get them to market, and it's obviously you're meeting a brief and so on. So at college you learn that, but the business side, I mean, I've made some pretty spectacular good decisions and some pretty spectacularly bad decisions, and I think you have to go through that in fashion, I suppose in business, in order to be on the right path. So I've learned a lot over my sort of 20 years in the business, and I've made a few mistakes, but I've also done a few things right, and it's an ongoing process, and I'm still here talking to you, doing this thing, and fashion has killed many people metaphorically. Yeah.
If there was one kind of piece of advice or a mistake that you would highlight to someone starting out, like what would that be?
I suppose in hindsight, things don't become mistakes; they become the thing that you learn from and make you stronger if you're going to continue in the business. But one of the things that I suppose one of the important things that I learned, I suppose, is perseverance. Because this is fashion, and people are in, people are out, and I think just be true to your aesthetic and what you do, and and just do that and find out what your uniqueness is. You know, that's and once you find that and you keep finding it and you keep building on it, I think that's a really important thing. I mean, a mistake I probably would have done was back in the day. I was doing a bit of art on fabric, and it was all the rage. And then I suppose fashion changed, and then I stopped doing it. And I also stopped doing, because I used to do t-shirts, and I stopped doing t-shirts. But you can have like a pretty serious business just in t-shirts if you're good at t-shirts. But having said that, I went on to do a full collection and understanding about full collections. So it's all good. I mean, I stopped just doing t-shirts, and now I do a full collection with accessories. So but maybe I could have been a billionaire doing t-shirts. Yeah. but who knows? But I'm having a lot of fun now. Especially working with women as well, because I started off doing predominantly menswear in a way, but I suppose the last 15, 16 years, I've focused a lot on women, and to be honest, unisex clothing, right? Yeah. So yeah.
I would love to continue on this kind of side of like challenges, because I think being an artist and a designer such as yourself requires a lot of passion and inspiration. Can you tell us about a time where you didn't felt that way, or if there's any, and how did you overcome it?
Where I didn't feel the passion for the business.
Yeah, exactly. Has it ever occurred, like in all these years, you lost inspiration, or?
So, right. What is it? They say fashion is like, well, as a business, it's kind of like 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration, right? So the inspiration part is like the thing you live for, right? But you spend more time doing the other bits. So the financial part is like, that can get on top, and people who are watching this now, who are in the business, will know that that's not the easiest thing to manage, especially if you've got an artistic brain. And if you spend more than 10% of the time in inspiration, right, which I do. So, unfortunately, the business side of it sometimes is really, really, really frustrating, and can make you fall out of love with the business, because you don't have the inspiration. You don't have enough time to do the inspiration. So there have been times where I've lost money in the business. I've had so that's been times where it's been very challenging, and I've thought twice about whether I want to carry on in the business. So that financial and structure in business is the tough
where you
part.
Found
it's the most challenging.
How did you build resilience on that?
So so financially, I keep it very simple. I'm like, I had visions of like growing a brand globally and so on. I still do, and I have like a nice following all around the world, but that's because I went back in and made it smaller, and I went back to my stall. I'd sold high end before this to very fancy stores around the world. I had my fancy agent in Milan and so on. But after I kind of had a break from that, which is a bit of a painful break from that system. I then went back to a market stall and just started, selling, meeting the customer, creating things in a very simple way, almost like a musician gigging in a local pub. Yeah. And that's what I ended up doing. And keeping it very, very simple and building it up, selling 1, 2, 3, 4 things, very simple, and getting a genuine following. And that's where I am now, where I've done it for years now, and I've got a really nice following of really good people. Yeah.
And you're mainly on Instagram, right? I think it does spark, because we were showing your website as well. How do you find being? Would you describe yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I describe myself as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. In this digital age, how do you find it, like your affinity with technology, e-commerce, and keeping it up with all, like selling online?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very hands-on, and it's very organic what I do, and I often do sort of one-off things. Okay, so so the experience of meeting me on a stall and so on, it's built into what I do, right? But in this time, especially during this COVID time, I had to kind of step up what I do. How do I communicate that across to people? My Instagram has helped, because I like to, if you look at my Instagram, you kind of get a sense of who I am. But it's I kind of do high-end work in a very locale way, in a way, and you can place me, right, and it's kind of real what I do. So it's communicating that. Instagram's been very useful in communicating my real story as to who I am and what I do. And then also, like, a lot of my customers feature on my Instagram. So so the connection, which you could probably get from meeting me on my store, I try to communicate that on my Instagram, and I do get a lot of people DM me and place orders via DM.
Right.
And that's actually been amazing, actually. And then obviously my website is a constant work in progress. I don't have like a standard website, but that's picked up a lot, especially it had to during lockdowns and COVID.
I was going to ask, like, how lockdown's been for you. Has it had a big impact in your momentum, like, or has it been fairly sustainable through that time?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a big shock to the system, but it really, it showed that there was some love out there for me, because a lot of my customers who've been with me for many years, they kind of got me through that time. And then I've also found some new ones. I think a lot of people were sat at home, on their devices. So the communication through Instagram was really very useful to me. And then I would send people, direct people to my website. So it was actually, so my business actually, it improved in a way through lockdown. Although I didn't have the face-to-face selling, which I do now that we've come back. So I've combined that with my online selling and Instagram selling now. So things are looking up again. I'm not gonna lie, it was very tough, yeah, but it's added elements to my business which actually really needed to be added. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it shows the value of having like a very strong online presence and a very strong identity. Like, I think like if anyone hasn't checked the Instagram yet, please check it out, because I think it's some stunning work on there. It's super striking, and I think you'll get a lot of kind of Kervin's identity from there.
Cool. Appreciate the shout out.
For sure. And there's a lot there. There's a lot on the website. Where can people find your work besides online? Of course, we mentioned we are a first store, but also you have your own. You describe it to me as your stage.
Yeah. So I'm at Spitalfields. Well, I have been at Spitalfields Market in East London for 15 years. and it's 2 meters by 2 meters, and sometimes I get a double stall, so so then I get double that space, but I really deck it out like it is, like, I don't know, like a concept store, or maybe, I don't know, Dover Street Market or Comme des Garçons or something like that.
It really stands out.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. I
really
mean, I
does.
work hard at that. I'm obsessive about it, because obviously I'm a communicator, and I want to communicate what I'm doing, right? And I want to get it across. So I want, even if you come from like a big, high-end brand or something, I want that customer to be thinking, okay, I can go to that high-end brand or that well-known brand, but actually, what Kervin does is actually, in a way, a bit more unique, because he doesn't really do that many in large numbers, and then it's quite unique, and the ideas are unique as well. So, I need to communicate that on my stall, and then I wear a lot of what I do, so I communicate it as well, and I enjoy the interaction with people on the store. So, in a way, it's perhaps a bit blessing and a curse. I enjoy it so much that I'm there. I mean, I'm there nowadays because I've got a shop on which I share with Store at 189 Westbourne Grove. But I've had the store for 15 years, and I do like a day. I do like a day and a half. So I do all of Sunday, and I do part of Saturday.
Yeah, so during the weekends you're a bit.
Yeah.
Which is,
and then I'm at the shop, 3-4 days a week, I suppose. Yeah.
That's where we met, right? So we met, Kervin and I met at Spitalfield Market, and what struck to me, it was really like the time that you took. Like I really like the bag, which is here.
Yes.
There you go, which I absolutely love. I almost go to sleep with this bag right now. But we spent like quite like an hour talking about not just the bag, but your work, and to me it created kind of a bond to the bag. I would say, like, kind of created an experience that you bring, I think, into your designs, because I mean, I can feel that passion, the fact that you really enjoy and you want like to transmit this to people.
Well, thank you, because I'm glad that you had that experience. And when I hear that, it's kind of validation of what I'm doing, because I love people, and I love meeting people, and I also like communicating what's in my head, and ideas I have about the world and design to people. But it's not. To be honest with you, I'm really. People think they're buying from me, but I'm actually buying from people, because I'm learning so much about people, so much about, because really, once you're an artist, the artist never goes to sleep. So I think a good artist is a sponge. Yeah. So artists soak up people, and
you can be receptive,
very receptive, and then I'm watching for how people dress, because it's not just about dress, because what you wear sometimes reflects how you're thinking, and then that's the important thing, the conversation, the thought processes, and actually, the artist in me tells me that nobody actually needs any more clothing, because people or accessories. People have a bag, people have jacket, coat, t-shirt. Everybody has that, but it's like, what's the need, what's the want in it, sorry, and the want is, I suppose, experience and exchange. So you haven't seen an ad from me on TV or anything like that, or even in a magazine. You haven't, most people haven't seen that. Maybe you've seen something on Instagram, but meeting me, I suppose I'm an advertisement of myself and how I'm thinking, and my communication with you is, and you get an idea of who I am. After all, the brand is named after my own name.
Yeah. Sure.
So it's quite personal. It's elements of me in there, and I'm fascinated with people who are drawn to what I'm doing and who they are. And the beautiful thing is, the people who come to me, they're not all the same people. You know,
Yeah.
like you're not the same person as the other person that would have come to me. And I find that fascinating. In actual fact, I take a lot of time, even if people sometimes don't even buy from me. The experience of talking to them and what I learned from them, and you know, and how we've exchanged, I get inspired. Sometimes that's invaluable. You know, I had a woman one time. You know, she said to me, "Oh, I had a series of dresses, you know, similar." And then she said, "You know what? Why is this dress of yours at the back?" She was 80 years old. I'm like, well, this one, I was thinking about putting it forward, but she goes, "You need to put this dress forward." Yeah. I'm like, well, you know, do you like it? She goes, "I like it, but I'm not going to buy it from you." And I said, "Okay, don't worry about buying it from me, because actually your opinion is really important." And because she's a very stylish woman, very stylish. I mean, you know, and let's not discriminate. You know, she's an octogenarian, and people are in 80. You know, you're talking about, you know, Vivienne Westwood, you know, Reiko Kubo at Com. You're talking about Issey Miyake.
Mike knows all of these.
These people, they're all you know, revolutionary designers, and
you don't see what's below the t-shirt. I'm wearing all the designer brands.
yeah. But if they're not 80 yet, but they're, you know, they're definitely in their 70s, right? So I'm, you know, so this woman. So I actually listened to what she said. I put no, actually, what I said to her was, "Your opinion is worth £1 million to me." Yeah. Because the way she looked, she knew what she was talking about. Literally, I put the dress forward, and literally minutes later, the dress sold. Yeah, to somebody who was like in their mid-20s. Yeah. So you know, I'm not going to say that works every single time, but that's just an example of the interaction I get with people. You know. Yeah.
And I think to me it speaks a lot to what we were saying about putting your passion in what you do, but also what I really feel is this, you know, you being humble. Like for me, what it struck is like you have so much talent, but yet like you're so humble, and it's something that I admire a lot.
No, thank you. I mean, the talent part, you know, that's for others to say, and for me to believe in it, you know, because I believe in my own talent, but then I have to show it, and I have to try and develop the talent I have, and that's what I'm doing. But I don't like placing myself above anybody else. You know, I just like to do what I do, enjoy what I do, and share with the world what I do, and just get better and better at what I do. And it's a privilege if people, you know, want to actually, you know, say buy my work, because as I said to you before, nobody has to buy anything. You know, nobody has to buy anything from me. You know, but when people do, you know, I'm honored, man. And when people, you know, comment, say, you know, good things about my work, I'm obviously really flattered, and it spurs me on to go on. You know, there are people who will, you know, sometimes criticism is actually useful. That 80-year-old lady I just mentioned, who suggested for me to put something at the front, you know, some could take that offensively, but that's positive. So I like positive criticism as well. Obviously there's malicious. I mean, I've stood on a stall for 15 years, so and I've had like people whose energy who haven't been that great. But you know, I mean, you know, it's at least they're interacting with my work. Yeah. And that's a positive. Yeah. Because they can have a bad opinion. People who have bad opinions have bad opinions about loads of things, but they've chosen to have a bad opinion about mine, which is fantastic.
That's a great attitude.
Yeah, it's amazing, like the serendipitous nature of interactions like that, and how they pan out. Obviously, M's interaction with you brought you onto our podcast, which we are super grateful for, and Like I love that just in general about life, how people kind of just bounce off each other, and you just never know what's going to come around the corner, and one conversation, one suggestion can lead to all kinds of different outcomes, right? I love that story.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate M's interaction, and I appreciate this podcast, because there isn't that much many interviews that I would do, or podcasts, I suppose. But I'm doing a bit more now, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, we hope you enjoy, and we hope that this can be another stage for you. I kind of, I wanted to ask, I don't know if it's appropriate, you can tell me, but like I think it's quite a generic question, but like what's next for you? Like, do you always think about like what's next, or
well, I suppose what's next is you can probably tell I'm grafting. I'm grafting. I spend a lot of time doing what I'm doing, and perhaps it's an ability to afford myself the time to take some time out and build a few more collections and of clothing and accessories and artwork, because sometimes when I stop in order to rebuild, that there's a cost to that, but then I have to try and fund myself in order to sit and concentrate on building more artwork and more collections, and taking a bit more time to maybe strategize about the direction I'm going in. Right now, I'm really enjoying just being in it and just getting on with it. But all I can say is just perhaps an even more focused, strategic approach for the future. So I think that it's a guarded answer, but it's a truthful one.
It's an interesting one. Like it's a challenge to find that balance, right? Of investing in your future versus investing in now. I imagine for many kind of entrepreneurial people that are kind of running their own businesses, it's a constant struggle, and it must be an exciting one as well, like the adventure.
It is. I mean, I'll give you a hint. So, I mean, I have like a nice production team who machine and where we create everything, and I oversee everything now, because I've got to that stage. I'm not machining as much as I was, so I have a little team now. But then you need a few more teams. You need a few more people helping you. I have a little bit of help in sales and so on, but even like in departments like this, or communication and so on, I would need a bit more help. So I probably need some people, take on some people and actually grow a business in that way. Right now it's quite small, and it's my passion. I have a few people who help me, but then I think I'd be growing it a bit in the future, almost definitely. Yeah.
Fantastic.
We're definitely excited to see that happening. I think don't know, Mike, we have that kind of question that we try to ask at the end, because like back to the theme of the podcast, we really want to talk to people that are really in their area. They're doing something that we find like extremely interesting. They're being successful, or like scraping through, like just barely doing it in a way that again, back to that, like staying humble, because we spoke to a lot of talented musicians and artists. I think what we asked them is if you could leave a message to our listeners, right? What would it be? We don't have a super large audience, but I think it would be nice now they got to know you.
Just have some joy in your life and spread some joy to others.